Hey you guys, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to talk about my April TBR. And let me tell you something, trying to figure out this month's TBR was such like the mental gymnastics I had to do was so weird because I never have this problem with TBRs in the slightest. Like, I always know what I want to read for the next month. I know how I want to go about reading them. I don't necessarily always follow the order that I have them in, but I always knew. And this time I just kind of sat there like scratching my head for a good like 5 minutes because I just had, not even 5 minutes, like 2-3 days, because I had genuinely no idea what I wanted to read. But now I figured it out. So not a lot of books, and 2 of them are rereads because I feel like I'm in a weird slump with books recently, not because I don't want to read or I don't feel like reading. I think it's primarily because I want to read more high fantasy, as I tend to write in high fantasy. So reading within that genre kind of gets me inspired to write in said genre. But somehow all the books I have been picking up of late are not high fantasy. They have been retellings, they have been urban fantasies, contemporaries, adult stuff, which isn't bad. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad. However, it just doesn't put me in the right mindset to write. Then I get unmotivated and it just doesn't work out for me. So I'm trying to take a break from all of the other stuff and focus on high fantasy. So I do have an urban fantasy in here and like not really. I have a couple in this TBR pile that aren't. They're my 2 reads that aren't high fantasy, but the most part these guys are high fantasy. So I'm hoping it'll get me back on track, and the next time I do a haul, it'll be nothing but fantasy, because it's just kind of really weird that I have not been buying fantasy. So let's just get into it before I talk even more. But the first book on my TBR is one you guys shouldn't be surprised about. I've had it in there for like 3 months now, and I finally finished the larger chunks of mythology that were in there, so I can move on to like the easier, not easier per se, but the smaller, less thick, and less dense versions of mythology. And that is Classic Myths, but edited Myths and Legends, Classical Greek, Celtic, Norse, Chinese, African, Native American, and more, edited by Jake Jackson. I do have the book. It's in my bag. Did I want to dig it out of my bag? No. So we're just going to go with it. But I have been reading this since February, and let me tell you, reading nothing but mythology is very difficult, especially when you know the majority of the mythology that you have been reading. Like, some of them were pretty interesting so far. Like, I think I am finally falling into like Norse and Indian and Scottish, but like the Irish mythology that I read, some of the like Chinese mythology, the Greek mythology, I was just like, I know this, so I just didn't pick it up. But I'm hoping to get a good chunk of it done this month and then move on and hopefully finish it up in May, because it has been ridiculous that it's been on my TBR for like 3 months now. The next book is actually a reread, and I haven't reread this series in quite some time, so I think it's time for me to like slowly get back into it, and that is The Mortal Instruments, City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book in the Mortal Instruments series, and if you guys don't know, it follows Clary Frey as she finds out that she is not a human but a shadow hunter who is destined to fight the demons of this world and save it. Like I said, I haven't read it in a long time, but Cassandra Clare's writing always, without a doubt, gets me in the mood to write, no matter what genre I am writing in, primarily for like the action fight scenes. So I'm excited to read this again and get back into it, and I really miss Jace. Like, I really miss Jace. So the next book I finished not yesterday but the day before, and I'm having a lot of feelings about this book. But that is Empire Storms by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 5th book in the Throne of Glass series, and it ripped my heart out. I can't tell you much, but essentially the Throne of Glass series follows Selena Sardothian as she is taken out of the slave camps of Endovir to be part of the King's Champions battle, where she has to fight to see if she wants to be a King's Champion, and if she wins, she can live her life however she chooses after serving him for X amount of years. And this is the 5th book. And you know, I knew very little about the emotions that were going to happen in this book. I had seen a couple of spoilers, primarily from the last line of the book. That was all the spoilers that I'd ever seen about it, primarily. There were other ones, but like, then I went through, and the characters got to me, and now I desperately need Assassin's Blade, I need Tower of Dawn, and I need Kingdom of Ash on my shelves, like, stat. But I don't know in what direction I'll be reading next, if I want to go from Empire Storms to Assassin's Blade, then we'll jump back to like Gale's side of things, and then Kingdom of Ash, or if I want to go through the series and then go back and read Assassin's Blade, I think I might just go through the entire series and then go back, because I don't know why. Gale's progression is very interesting to me, but I just don't like him. Like, I think he has an interesting character arc and he deserves happiness, but if I had to read an entire book from someone else's point of view that isn't from like this section, I think I'd rather read like Maeve's. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm very hesitant to pick that up, and I wish it wasn't number 6? Yes, I wish it wasn't number 6, because that would make my life a lot easier, because then I can just pick it up after I finish Kingdom of Ash. But no. The next book is another reread, and I've already started it and I'm nearly done because this is a guilty pleasure book of mine. And that is The Selection by Kiera Cass. This is the first book in the Selection series, and it essentially is like, what would you do if you put The Hunger Games and The Bachelorette into one show and got rid of all the bloodshed, but left a lot of the fighting. So essentially, a few decades or so, the prince has to choose his wife, and to keep the morale up of like kind of their country, he has to choose 35 girls to live with him for however long he wants, and he kind of has to figure out, through process of elimination, which girl he wants to marry. And America never wanted this situation. She had her own plans for the rest of her life, but when her plans get uprooted, she kind of throws in her application and gets chosen to be one of the selected. And like I said, it's a guilty pleasure of mine. I started reading this in Ireland. I bought this book in America, so I took it with me to Ireland. But then I bought the other 2 books in Ireland, and I never picked up the end. So I think this might be the book that I just kind of binged through, and then binge the next 2 books, and then we finish out the series next month or something. I don't know. But like I said, I'm almost halfway through with it, and I stand with what I had said before. I really, 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 really like Maxim. He's just such a cute person. Like, if he wasn't younger than me, I would date him. But he is now 16, whereas I'm a nice 22. So I cannot. But I can still pine from afar without being creepy. But he is such a sweet character, and like the fact that I forget that he doesn't know what to do with girls when they cry. So I was just kind of like sitting there giggling, and I adore him, and I want an older version of Maxim for myself to make it legal, but like a little older than me. And hopefully that version knows what to do with girls that cry, because I cry a lot. But it's fine. The next 2 books are actually something that my sister has let me borrow because she's been bugging me to read them for however long. But that is Splintered by A.G. Howard. Now, I don't know a lot about this book. I'm not going to tell. I really don't. All I know is that it's a weird Alice in Wonderland retelling, and that there is, I think, 2 other books in the series, and that he came out with the author came out with another book that is a Princess in the Pea retelling. So I wanted to read these books first before I pick up the other books. Oh, did she also do a Phantom of the Opera telling? There's also a Phantom of the Opera telling. So I want to pick up those books and then get along with the rest of the books that they have written. And finally, the last book that I have is The Looking Glass Wars by Frank Bador, and another Alice in Wonderland retelling. I don't know much about this other than I believe this is adult fantasy, and that my sister raised by these books. She loves them. She says that since I am writing high fantasy that involves militia, that I should probably read this because there is a lot of like militia and politics involved, so it'd be good for me to kind of brush up on that and see how I feel. But I'm excited to get into it, and I'll probably pick this up or Splintered after I read the selection. But that is it for my April TBR. Again, I struggled with this TBR, and I don't know why, but I'm excited to read the books that I have on it. I think that it'll be good for me to get out of like this weird contemporary thing that I'm in and get more into high fantasy again. So, if you guys want to follow my adventures of Screaming into the Void, my social media links will be down below. If you guys want me to do a review on any of these books that you have not heard a review on yet, also leave those down below so I know. But until next time, hit like if you like these videos, subscribe, I upload twice a week, and I'll talk to you guys everywhere else. Bye now.